exactly put this in a vlog, but it's not really late enough for this to be a Sleepless Nights. But I think I might as well put this in a Sleepless Nights because, well, for one, I have not been sleeping well these past few days. But there's a lot to uncover with what I want to talk about, as you can tell by the title, hopefully. And it's only 9:30, but like, I could go on for hours about this shit, man. So, if you all don't know me, I'm hoping you do at this point. If you've tuned in long enough to my channel since the beginning and since videos that have been deleted over the past 7 years or so, then you should probably know me pretty well. But in case you're new here and you don't know, I enjoy research. Now, that might be a very vague, answer of like, okay, but doesn't everyone do research? That depends on what you research of. But what I'm talking about is my passion and love for researching mental health. And not just mental health, but other shit as well. Shit that went on in the past, shit that kind of like history-ish things, or kind of like just stuff that I find fascinating. I do research on it. I do research when I write stories. I even do research on big words I don't understand, because as amazing as my brain is, it's not all that amazing when it comes to knowing big words. But I wanted to talk a little bit about why I'm so obsessed with it and why I'm so very much in love with everything having to do with that. Now, you might think like that I'm a nerd, or that it's kind of weird to enjoy research of things in the past that didn't exist before, or mental health. I'm just one of those weirdos that do find joy in one of those things. Sorry, I'm trying to make it so you guys can see me better. Might as well take those off because you're going to see the ring light in the glasses. So, my love of researching mental health stuff didn't really come up until a couple years ago. I want to say about maybe when I was 15 or 16. So it's, been a couple of years, but it's still something that I enjoy doing. Now, I would like to consider myself a very creative person. If you don't know, I write my own stories, as in I write my own fan fiction stories. I've been writing fan fiction since... I've been writing stories in general since I was about 9. I didn't fully get into fan fiction until I was like maybe 12. But all in all, I've been writing since I was 9 years old. I was just handwriting and coming up with just some random fiction stories I came up with. It was a way my brain was able to cope with the trauma that I had to endure and deal with. Writing was my coping mechanism, where I put myself in random situations. I put myself, my personal being, into a story where I'm older and I don't have all this pain, and that I'm, rich and have money and I'm living in LA, kind of like what I wanted to do when I was little, or younger, I should say. But then that kind of progressed as soon as, I got older and I started watching shit ton of movies with cute boys I liked and had a crush on, because who doesn't have a crush on fucking movie characters and actors? So again, me being a teenager, ended up writing fan fiction. And then that's when it kind of grew and grew, within each fandom that I enjoy. So like Harry Potter, Supernatural, even animes like Pokemon, One Punch Man, just any fandom that I am in, I can find a story of and make it my own and create it differently and make the world mine, my own. And here I am, 18, still doing so. I did the research and the math a couple days ago because I never really truly knew how many stories I have done, finished, and, kind of unsure of until a while ago where I did the research and did the math. And if I remember correctly, it was 826, if I remember. I have it written down, but yeah, I think so. 826 stories. And only 41 of those are finished. 826 stories within the past 6 years. That, well, 800, yeah, the past 6 years or so. Hearing that number is absolutely mind-boggling. It is absolutely and truly so outrageously insane because it's like 800 is a big number. 200 away, 200 more stories away from 1,000. But the fact that my brain, as messed up, don't mind the acne, as messed up as it is mentally and like emotionally, to come up with 826 original, mostly, technically, 826 original stories, different characters, different backgrounds, different people, different powers, different, just anything that I have created, that I have done. Now, give or take again, that the reason why I say mostly original is because technically the backgrounds and the girls are practically kind of the same because they revolve around my personality. They revolve around kind of my background or, stuff like that, because that I portray some of myself and most of myself into my stories because that is a way for me to cope. That is a way for me to release all of the water that's built up inside me and just out into, on a document, But that many different ideas is absolutely insane to me. And it's just one of the more reasons why I enjoy the brain so much, why I enjoy what it does and how it does it. Now, going on to the mental side of it, it's interesting. Like, I adore mental health in a weird way. I don't like having it, essentially, but it's like I'm not like in love with it, but I mean I love it in a fascinating kind of way, kind of like what a scientist does, sort of, because I find it so fascinating, how my brain is so different from most people. To be fair, you could put me with a couple of other people and all of our brains are different. All of our brains have different, memories, different emotions, different traumas, different mental disorders, whatever. But the fact that it is the way that it is and how it is with mental health, it's just so fascinating. I have done extensive research on mental health, about depression and anxiety, about any mental health, not every, but like the majority of most mental health issues out there, and how it affects the brain, well, the brain, in the body, because your brain's all connected to this. All of this is kind of mostly connected to here, but, and the fact that I still have so much to research on, like intermittent explosive disorder and Cotard delusion, and again, I'm gonna search up how creativity is in the brain, how that all works, and Capgras delusion, just how all mental health is portrayed in the brain and how it affects it and how it does what it does. Like, I want to be I'm gonna be weird for saying this, but I want to be a lab rat. I want a whole bunch of stickies on my face, on my brain. Stickies just around my brain. I want a device with a bajillion wires, like Charles Xavier in First Class when Hank made the fucking cerebral. That's what I want to do, because I want to see what my brain is like. I've looked at what certain mental health does to the brain, and as sad as that is on what it does to the brain, like all the dark spots, and that it shrinks, that it shrinks with mental health, and that the main source of your emotions and I think your trauma is in the hippocampus. And I saw a little short documentary, on how, people with mental health or with depression, that it shrinks, or that it just behaves so differently than who don't have depression. And it's so fascinating, and I feel like I'm gonna sound such like a weirdo to most people, because you'd be like, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, why do you find it so fascinating? Because the mind is such an amazing thing. The way that it just does things, and like takes in information and emotions and memorizes things, and just the way that it is, if I could, take off my head, take out my brain, I'd want to hug it. But I also would want to see how fucked up it is. Because to be honest, this isn't all there. This does not work well. I did a quiz to see which, because you have the left side of your brain and the right side of your brain. Both work different things. Now, I was doing some research on what both left and right do. So the left side of your brain is the more logical. It focuses on facts and is planned and does a whole bunch of math and science stuff, and prefers like the nonfiction stuff. But on the right side is all emotional, focused on arts and creativity, imagines things, and enjoys creative storytelling. So from there, it's clear to see that I'm more right-brained than I'm more left-brained, because of all my creativity and how I enjoy mostly English or, enjoy, English classes or stuff on history of, like, all of that stuff. And I actually was considering doing an online college to get a psychology degree, because if I were to go to college, which I don't know if I'm going to, it kind of just depends, but if I wanted to go to college, the thing I would definitely want to study in is psychology. Because, again, the brain is such a fascinating thing to me, and I could rant on forever and ever and ever about this stuff, but the way that it works and the way that mine works and how it's so different from everybody else's is just mind-boggling. But like, again, that's 4 years of college, and high school is already kind of torture enough. But maybe in the future when I'm, have free time, maybe I can do an online college. And if I have the money to pay for a tuition and, not end up in debt and have student loans, then maybe we'll do it, Because honestly, it sounds fun to learn more about the brain and what it does and what it does and how it does it, And who knows, I could probably learn a lot more than what I'm doing right now, but again, I got all the time in the world, so maybe we'll see. My mom did college in her 30s, so maybe I can do that when I settle down, We'll just see what happens. But I don't know, just the way that it is and how mental health is also like another thing of like how it is and how that's why I like history too, because it's like mental health has been a thing for centuries, decades, but it's so different back then than it is now, and it's like there's so many things that goes on in your brain with mental health, and like I wouldn't even know like where to begin with that. I mean, because again, a lot of people have a lot of different things, and the way that their brain works with those things is just interesting, But like, I don't know, man. It's just, it's so cool. But yeah. So I'm gonna keep finding shit to study about and write down because I enjoy it. I have 1,000 notebooks I could be using right now with all kinds of research and like, yeah. Another thing I find interesting is like there's a mental issue that makes you see color in what people, I think, is that synesthesia? I think it synesthesia is a neurological condition in where the stimulation of one sensory or cognitive path leads to automatic involuntary experiences. Simply put, when one sense is activated, another one So, I'm not exactly sure if this is it, but it's basically where you can hear people. I saw it in a Criminal Minds episode where you can hear people or see what people are saying in color and like, see what people say in color and like if it's associated with that color, it could be bad or good. Like if it's red, it's bad, or if they're lying, if it's good, that means they're telling the truth, type of thing. I think that's what it is. I'll have to do more research on it, obviously, but because it's also just so interesting, and the way mental health is and how it's hereditary or, diagnosable, and how there's a broad of just so much mental health illnesses out there. All, most of them are mostly like similar, but they're all so different in so many different ways. And like, I won't be able to track down every single one, but just kind of the ones that I find more, fascinating. Like, what was Cotard delusion? Like, Cotard syndrome is where people are to believe that they're dead or that they don't exist, It's also known as the corpse syndrome. It was also in a Criminal Minds episode where this guy was believed that, oh no, that was a different one, where I think I'm thinking of Capgras Delusion, where someone is replaced with an imposter. I think that's what it's called. In place with an imposter. Yeah, or the duplicate. Like, that's what I saw in a Criminal Minds episode, where this guy thought his parents were replaced by imposters and that they weren't his parents, so he killed them. You know, it's just like, what in the brain makes that happen? And especially, it's like, what do you have to go through to make that happen? It's also like, how I find, what's it called? DID, dissociative identity disorder. I find that fascinating too, because it's just like the amounts of trauma, you know, you have to go through for your brain to actually split personalities into coming up with all these different personalities, you know, that coexist, you know? Then it's just like, it's so interesting how it all does that, you know? And how it's like your brain knows when you've been through too much, so it, you know, does something. You know, how with depression or anxiety you get more confused, or you know how with generalized anxiety disorder your brain comes up with all of these scenarios of everything that could go wrong to specifically just protect you, but also just cause you a lot of anxiety. I mean, I could list off so many different things that my brain does to me because of my mental health, you know? Like, goodness. Like, with what I explained with my generalized anxiety disorder, I think of every single possibility of every bad situation that could possibly happen. That, for a good 99% chance, will not happen. But my brain does it to protect myself. So it knows if this does happen, you know, like, I warned you type of thing, you know? I really wish I could explain this more in a good way, but again, I'm still not really sure of it myself, you know, but, and then with I don't know, like OCD and ADHD/ADD, there's like a need to there's a need to just finish, like, my brain, I've explained this a lot in vlogs. I always explain that my brain goes into overdrive, which again, I always feel like it's a part of my undiagnosed OCD, but I know there's something there, and undiagnosed probably ADHD, because everyone in my family has that bullshit. So, because it's like, my brain goes on overdrive on wanting to get every single thing done in the history. Like, finish all of my stories that I want to focus on, finish all my books that I have, because I feel like I'm not going to have enough time, you know? Like, my brain is set on a routine. My brain is set on a strict routine of, like, wanting to do things, so it's hard to fit things in when my brain's been structured to do the same thing, because it's a comforting way a comforting way of it being, you know? Because I feel like if I were to do something different, my anxiety will increase, you know? Because in my mental health, while there's so many, God, there's so many, they all kind of, again, coexist. They kind of work together, but they kind of also fight each other. It's a love-hate relationship between all of them, you know? Because it's just like, my depression and anxiety can cause me to do nothing all day, where I get nothing done, get no stories finished, get no books done. I just lay in bed and I just will watch old YouTube videos over and over, you know? And then also on some rare cases, it's also like my depression and anxiety can also motivate myself to use that and put it in a story, or put it in a story I'm working on, to get it out that way. You know, it goes both ways, you know? And it's like, it's just so interesting. And I'm not sure if this is going to make sense to anybody, but that's just how I am, you know? And it's like my ability to be able to multitask between watching something, writing, texting people, reading other shit, playing other things. It's exceptional. And like the way that I have shit set up and how I want it set in certain ways, it's again, it's just so cool. And I'm going to make a promise that one of these days when I am older, I am going to legit make myself a doctor's appointment to get my brain scanned, you know? Because, well, it's not only a good thing that I should probably do, but it's just to see how it is, you know? Because I would like to see what my brain looks like on a scan. I would like to have my brain scanned to see not only how damaged it is, but just to see it, you know? Because it's like, that's my brain. That's what I've been living with since I was a baby, you know? And how fascinating it is when you're a baby and you grow and develop this. And it's like how, goodness, I can always go on with this as I've been for 30 minutes, but I should probably stop here. But again, it's just so cool, and I just wanted to share that with you guys because I'm a strange person, but I enjoy it a lot, and it's a cool thing. So on that note, I hope you enjoyed. Hope this made sense. And yeah, feel free to subscribe if you want and comment what you think. And I'll see you later.